Hello everybody, can you all hear me? I'm still new to this live streaming thing, so making sure everything is working is quite challenging at the moment. So let me know in the comments if you can hear me. Make sure you're switched to live chat if you want to interact so I can see exactly what's going on. Give me a shout out if you're here and if you can hear me. What do I need? Paper. Yes. Okay. Hi Louise. Hi Carolyn. Welcome. Alright, I'm just getting a few things set up. I didn't realise how long it takes to actually mix all the paints for today. So I got a bit carried away and forgot what time it was. Let me see where my other level is. It's up there. Okay. Let's see. Alright, how are we all today? It's still bloody hot here in Sydney, so I'm sweating profusely, which is never good. I'm just going to rearrange things a little bit so I've got a little bit more room to show you all what we're doing today. Hi Belle, hi Jenny. Shout out where you're from if you want. Let us know what the weather's like over there. You know, we're all experiencing something completely different at the moment. I know our American friends are freezing their asses off. Well, we're over here melting in Australia. Okay. So I'm just pottering around getting some things ready. Wait a couple more minutes for people to join. We'll have a little bit of a chat and then we'll go through what we're going to do today, which is the exciting part of actually painting these tables. So I'll show you how to paint a really big surface like we have. How I maneuver it, how I tilt everything, and how I get everything to dry exactly how I want it. So I'm just fixing up my paints over here on the other side behind the camera. Now what I'll do is I'm going to start the video over on that table and I'll move it back to where I normally have it on my tripod up above my spinner when we go to spin everything out. But the first step of today is showing everyone how I prepare the backs of my tables before I paint. So this is before we even get to the good part. And the whole point of this little live series is to show you exactly what it takes from start to finish to create functional art. So in this case, tables, which I have made for my cafe. These are the old tables that I had in the cafe. If you missed the first episode, I will link that once the video's finished airing in the description, or you can just go to my channel and find it. It was the last one that I've done. And yeah, I took the old tables from the cafe, we sanded them down, gave them a couple of coats of varnish to seal the wood, and they are now ready to paint. So, who have we got that's joined us? We've got Laurie. Hey Laurie, from Bris Vegas. Oh, lovely. Is it hot up there? Hi Karen. Hi Samuel. All right. So I think I'm going to just start. Whoever joins us a bit later, we'll catch them up. Feel free to ask any questions during this whole process. I'll try and keep an eye on my little chat screen up the top there, and I'll try and reply when I see everything. So the first thing I wanted to show everybody today is the reason why I varnish the wood first. So if you remember in the last episode, I used a measuring cup to dose out some varnish onto the tabletops, and I may or may not have forgotten to rinse it clean, but it's actually a blessing in disguise because this is what I pulled out of said measuring cup. This is the dried varnish, and you can see it's flexible and it's plastic. So what this does is it forms that impenetrable seal on the wood so that nothing can pass through it. Okay, and that's going to prevent all that moisture that may be in the wood from escaping and causing things to warp. So that's just the dried varnish there. All right, and I didn't end up doing 3 coats. I ended up doing 2 coats. The 1 coat varnish that I used is pretty good, so I'm very happy with that. Now I will show you the difference between the unvarnished wood and the varnished wood. So, oh, these things are heavy. This is the varnished wood, and you can see it's nice and glossy and reflecting my ceiling lights. This is the unvarnished wood. So it's illuminated, but it's not reflecting. So if I get these sort of together, you can tell the difference in texture and gloss already. Okay? So having those sealed means that we're not going to get any warping while everything is drying. Now, we do have a top and a bottom to these. Sorry, making lots of noise over here. So I'm going to flip this one over because this is the bottom, I think. Let me just have a feel around. Now, after the 2 coats of varnish, I did make sure to check that there were no drips on the bottom of my edges. And if there are, I would sand them back. Hello, Carol Davison from Atlanta, Georgia. Louise, varnishing and priming is exactly the same thing. So priming is when you prepare the wood to receive paint. So I would say gesso is sort of priming wood, whereas this is sealing wood. It's sort of the same thing, just a different product used to do it. Gesso. Someone asked me the other day if you could just gesso the wood. No, because gesso is only there to provide tooth or for something for the paint to grip onto. The wood already has texture, it's already got tooth. So we don't need any gesso for that. The reason you use gesso with canvas is because raw canvas comes as a crosshatch and it's got big holes that the paint will just simply fall through and you'll end up with blobs of paint underneath your canvas. So the gesso fills those holes almost like spackle. For your plaster walls, so that would fill any gaps and holes so that your paint actually holds onto it. Always varnish pine. You want that plastic seal, and I'll show you again why. Just give me 1 sec. Sometimes I forget that my microphone is attached to me and is mobile, so I forget that no matter where I go, you can hear everything. Yes, varnish seals is better for everything. Gesso provides tooth, so if you're doing canvas, gesso. If you're doing wood, varnish. That's my opinion. You can do whatever you want. Of course, everything in paint is subjective and art. So Karen asked, should you varnish pine? This is an example of what happens if you do not varnish pine. So this does have a coat of that 1 coat varnish over the top, but it's over the top of the white paint, which did not have a coat of varnish underneath. So, and this was a pine round. This was one from Bunnings. And you can see I just painted white straight onto it, and all of the oil from the pine wood has leaked through. So by sealing this wood, none of that oil, if I was to use a white pillow, would come through because that plastic layer is blocking it. Okay, so that's why you always want to seal pine. So this particular piece, what I'll be doing is just applying a coat of varnish over the top. I'll sand this back down. So this had a vinyl decal, that's why there's a Monstera leaf in there, although I do kind of like that. I peeled the vinyl off, and what I'll do is I'll just apply a coat of varnish over this once it's been sanded lightly, just to get the rest of that vinyl off, and then I'll apply the paint directly on top of that varnish. Okay, so that will all be ready to go. I'll also varnish underneath. No one's going to see underneath. And just in case you're wondering what this was, I routed this circle in the back because I have some plant stands. So this is like a little plant table, and they just pop straight into that little circle, and it holds a little bit of tension on the top of the stand. Okay, so I might actually leave that out here so I remember to sand that back. All right, Karen. Yeah, so yeah, if you're starting pine, MDF, always. I am going to do a little bit of a comparison video in a couple of weeks showing what happens if you don't do varnish on MDF. And actually, we might get to that today, because I do want to do a colour test with the colours that I've mixed up today. I know they look great, but I always do a colour test, always do a couple of coasters first, and that's all part of my process. All right, let's get into the good stuff. So we've got one table flipped upside down, and best to do this on a sturdy flat surface so that nothing's shifting and moving around. And the way that I prep my boards is going to be a problem because I don't think I have enough paper here. So what I do is I just use cheap baking paper. You can use craft paper, you can use anything you like, but this is just to save masking tape. So you could tape up the entire back if you like, but that would be very costly. So all I do is I make sure that my baking paper is about where I need it to go, and then we fill the gaps with masking tape. Okay, the masking tape of choice for me is the blue Scotch tape, the one with sharp lines technology, and the reason I like that one and not the ultra sharp has an extra sticky glue that can rip the varnish straight off the wood when you remove it, and I don't actually find that it does as good a job as what the sharp lines does. So I'm just going to, in typical artist style, throw that off to the side. Okay, and so we're ready to go with our first piece. Now I use a sharp bladed craft knife. This happens to be a Stanley branded one. You can get those at any, hardware store, craft store, pretty common. And I like these little ones because they fit in your hand nice and easy. Now we're going to take our masking tape, and I'm going to tape down one side first. Now the end of my tape is not perfectly flush, so what I'm going to do is bring it slightly in from the top edge so that it's not touching that top edge, and I'm making sure the tape is almost perfectly flush, leaving just 1 millimeter between the edge. Okay, so by having that little tiny gap, that's just going to help when we go to take our resin off. Now because I don't want to damage the wood, what I do on these pieces is I fold the tape back, make a little crease, and then just slice from the underside. Okay, and that's going to give you a nice clean cut that's not going to be overhanging this edge. So the next part, I'm going to tape down the center of my two pieces of baking paper just to hold them in place. And this one doesn't have to be particularly clean or neat, just on the inside, because we are going to go around it. And then from this side, sorry, I'm just going to move in front of the camera for a second. I'm just going to line it up just on top of the other piece of tape. You don't need to go all the way to the edge because there's already tape there. And we're going to pull that nice and tight and seal up that edge. So the baking paper doesn't have to go all the way to the edge because you need something for your tape to adhere to. Okay, then again, fold this over, undo a little bit of tape, fold it over, and then just take your knife and run it along that crease. And you've got a really nice, flush, clean cut. Repeat it for all four sides. And you can see this doesn't take very long at all. And this step is going to mean that the bottom of your table is professionally finished and you're not going to have any paint seep underneath. Now there is an extra step that I will show you in a second once this is all done. And this step is crucial to keeping the paint and resin out. Alright, here we go. And this one here. Done. So, not finished yet. What we need is a paddle pop stick or something that's nice and firm. By paddle pop stick, I mean like a tongue depressor, or these are actually perfect. These are the Dirty Pour Artist mixing sticks. I wouldn't use the Fluid Art Co ones because they're a little bit thinner, but these are nice and sturdy. So what I do is I take the mixing stick and make sure it doesn't have any built up resin on there like mine does. And I'm going to push that really firmly into the wood. And what this is called burnishing, if you've never seen this before. And what this is doing is activating the glue in the tape and forcing it to make a nice tight seal with that wood. So just putting quite a bit of pressure on it, and you just want to follow all of your tape all the way around. I will do the middle just so that it sticks, because baking paper won't stick to many things. So you do just have to be a little bit careful when you're handling this, picking it up and such. And if you do want a little bit of reassurance that it's not going to go anywhere, once you've done all of that, you can just do a couple of brace lines, and they don't have to be perfect either, just to run down the center. Okay, now I did go a little bit over here. Perfectly fine. All right, and that's just going to stick the tape to the tape and make sure that this baking paper doesn't move anywhere. Okay, any questions about anything I've done so far? It's all pretty straightforward. Hi Opal. Hi Le Chabot, Le Chatbot. You found me. Okay, so this one we'll put aside for a second. Just going to move it over here, and we'll tape up the second one real quick. So it goes a little bit slower when I'm trying to explain things, but this one I'll just whiz through and show you how quick it actually, gets done. So with long ones like this, you want to minimize the amount of paper that you use, so go lengthways. And unfortunately my roll of baking paper is quite crap and doesn't like to cut easily, but that's what you get when you buy the cheap shit. Okay, there, that's fine. We'll fill in any gaps with the masking tape. And this one. Alright. I am also at the end of the roll, so things always get a little bit harder at the end of the roll. Okay, and just making it relatively straight, and this time I am going to start from the edges, roll the tape back, make it nice and flat against the edge. Oh, knife slipped a little bit, that's perfectly fine because I'll seal that on this one. Sorry, I'm in the way. I know I'm in the way. There we go. So the other thing you can do is, if you're very careful, line up your knife with the edge and run it straight across. That one does take a little bit more skill to master every time, and you do just want to be really careful with it that you don't accidentally nip into your wood, which I have done many a time. So now I just find that folding it back and giving it a little slice is much easier and less risky for me. Now, the longer the piece of wood that you're taping, or the longer the canvas you're taping up, this is the same technique you can do for canvases and everything. The longer it is, you can't pull it nice and tight to start with. You have to go in sections, otherwise your tape will curve. Okay, and there. Again, down the middle to hold those bits of baking paper in place. Now let's have a look. So the tape sometimes will want to come up. Like I said, it doesn't like to stick to the baking paper, so it is wise to burnish before you tape the middle, but nothing we can't fix. There we go, and I will burnish now. And don't worry about these little gaps, I'm going to fill those in just a second. Now, the advantage to working on wood is that there is a brilliant little tool called a sander. Random orbital sanders are fantastic. You can get little handheld palm sanders, and when you're working with wood, all you can do is take those to the back of the piece and sand off any resin drips. So my edge here isn't perfect, it's not a perfect seal, but I'm not fussed because I'll just grab the edge sander and go over that once I'm done. So the whole point of this is to minimize the amount of paint getting on the back of the wood. Now, just to finish off these little bits, and a couple of bracing pieces. We'll do one there. So this is a lot of tape. This tape is expensive. It's what, $35 a roll or something, but it's worth it to keep everything on the back nice and clean. If you don't mind having those paint marks there, if that's the kind of artist you are, that's perfectly fine as well. It does show that it's handmade, and you know that a bit of love's gone into it, but I do like to keep everything nice and clean on the back. All right, this one's now ready to go. So now we get to the fun part of painting. Okay, let's see, there's some questions up here. So, hi Marina. Oh, whoops. Sorry guys, I did go live, but I think it switched the IP address. Because oh, okay, I know what's happened. I created the live event from my mobile phone, and apparently you can't do that if you're going to go live from a PC. So, very sorry. I was already going. Yes, I know I'm annoying, but you love me, Lisa. I love you too. By the way, guys, the color combinations that I'm going to use today are both some of Lisa's, so I'm really excited to do these. She's definitely the inspiration for today's pieces. She did a couple of color combinations in 2020 that were just phenomenal, and they rocked our world. So we're going to do those today because we've both been meaning to recreate them. So I thought, love it. All right. So the next part, and probably the most important part of what we're about to do, is making sure that our tables are completely level so that nothing shifts and moves once we've got a design that we like. So I usually just pile up a few of these plates, chuck my table on, check the level, and then adjust from there. So if your design is shifting all to one side, it's probably because your table is not level. So invest in one of these, nice long spirit level, especially if you're doing bigger pieces. And the way I like to check is to go diagonals first and then side to side. So this side is already a little bit high. Let's check this way. So this way is fine. This side is high. So I know I need to go up from this end. Okay, you want to go the opposite end to make the bubble rise up higher. So let's put a couple of those under there. And as long as the bubble's relatively in that gap, you should be okay. So let's have a look. So now it's a little bit high from this end. So I'm just going to take off one plate. Still a little bit high, so I'm just going to compress those down a little. And this is why I like using the bowls. If you just need to move things just a smidge, you can compress them down and they sort of compact but hold their shape. So now this one is perfectly level. Yay. So now we get the second one going. Now, I use these bowls over and over again. This one's seen some resin. Like, this one has seen a lot of shit. Once these are leveled, I keep the painting here until I'm ready to do resin, and then I just resin on the leveled surface. So you're not moving things more than once. So let's grab this one, and always put whatever leveling device you're using as far in the middle while keeping everything, you know, nice and supported as you can, so that your paint isn't dripping onto whatever you're leveling. I can see some questions coming in. Okay. Never would have found this chat. I would have waited an hour. I'm sorry, guys. There were 9 people that were here waiting for me, so some people saw what was happening. I promise next time I'll make sure to schedule everything from the computer. It was only because I was at work and was like, hey, I can paint today. I'm in the mood. I was motivated, all right? It doesn't happen often. I was actually going to do everything tomorrow and give people 24 hours to get here, but I was like, no, I'm motivated today. It's nice and hot, so my paint should dry relatively quickly and reduce the risk of everything, you know, shifting. So we're just going to repeat that process. So a little bit high from that end. A little bit high from that end. Just give it a squeeze. Make sure that when you're leveling, you're not leveling against another piece because you may not have the same amount of leveling tools underneath. And level from that end. Perfect. Got it first go. I like when that happens. Okay. Any questions so far? So we've just leveled everything up. You wrote me some rude messages. Do I need to check my phone? Oh, I'll find those later. Naughty. Oh no, she would have sent them in my group chat with Billy and Bree and they would have been laughing at me. We all know they would have. Alright, so now it's time to paint. So I do have to do a little bit of shifting around in my studio because I've got stuff everywhere. So bear with me a second. We've got lights that have got to move in and out of place. I have a table that I have to flip up. Okay, we have to stand up. Have to set up some puppy pads over here, just as a precaution, so I don't paint on my new table. So am I, Lisa. I've got so many colours mixed up. I've got 4 trays of colours mixed up because I couldn't decide what to use. So I'll wait until you see my my puppy pool. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am definitely the messy one. All right, now the fun bit of getting the camera to where the camera needs to be. So, oh, okay. I actually have to jump into my puppy pool. Is this the one? Yes. And lift that up. There we go. It's so hot up here, guys. Oh, crap. Sorry, there's a lot of grunting. I make a lot of noises when I'm moving things. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now, I've got to get this camera up here and centered. I have a puppy. I have a big Great Dane puppy. She's a monster. All right, so this is going to be a challenge, and the camera may cut out. So if it does, please bear with me. It's just the HDMI connection coming out. So as I said, please just bear with me. I will bring the video back. As long as you can still hear my voice, we'll be fine. There we go, video's cut out, hasn't it? Can you all still hear me? Alright, come here. Alright, hold on guys, hold on. You're not frozen, it's me. I've pulled the HDMI cable out of the camera to be able to get it where it needs to go. Un momento, por favor. Oh great, now I can't get it back in. There we go, okay. So let me just see. Sorry for all the faff around, everybody. Alright, we should be back. Give it a sec. Give it a sec. There we go. Okay. So, just going to make sure that we're nice and aligned. And I'm just going to do that in my software. All right. Here we go. Alrighty. So, welcome to my puppy pool. For those who say that I'm not messy, yeah, this is a view you've never seen before. Now, what I need is a clamp. Big old clamp just to keep my power cord out of the way. There we go. All right. Now, focus on this. Excellent. Alrighty, now I can get off my bench. Was wasn't that fun, everybody? All right. The wrong link wasn't my fault. This is all part of the process. This is what I have to do when I film things all the time. So you're just seeing everything live. I did say that you would see my entire process. This is all part of the process. All right, just gonna move a little bit more stuff out of the way and bring over our first table. All right. And the tape is already coming undone. It's so hot here, guys, that the glue is actually melting off the bottom of the tables, which can sometimes happen, in which case that I just leave. Whatever mess happens, it happens. It's all art. All right, we've got this big one up on the spinner. So what needs to happen is this wall needs to stay out so that we can spin everything and not have stuff go flying. All right, so I'm just going to go in there. Right. Right. How are we all doing? We all doing good, guys. All right. Let me just get this so it's standing up. So normally what happens between pours is I will take this table down, my puppy pool, and throw out all of the mats underneath, but because I knew I was filming these videos, I've left them. And the problem that's happened now is the paint has all solidified and made everything a nightmare. Alrighty, let's get some paper towel ready to go. My best friend, let's get some gloves on, and I'm going to show you what colors I'm going to use. Are we excited? All right. Oh, I can't wait to read all these comments when this is all done. All right. Looks like I've frozen again. There we go. Sorry guys, I pulled the plug again by mistake this time. Live and unscripted. This is what you all signed up for, right? So remember that first live I did with Lisa? It was chaos like this. And yeah, I had to edit a lot of that out. If you've ever made a YouTube video, you'll know what goes into it. Oh no. Okay. Let's just get this. It needs to go like this. Okay. We can spin. All right, we're spinning freely. Rightio. So always make sure you have clearance between what you're spinning and the edge of your puppy pool or whatever you're using to keep everything nice and clean. I love these puppy pools because they're just the right height of my spinner and nothing will go over the top. Okay, so second step here is to just wipe off any dust that may have landed on the table. You weren't chaotic, Lisa, I was chaotic. And I'm going to show you the colors I'm going to use today. There's plenty of them. All right, so the first color combo I'm going to do is Lisa did a red piece that she ended up giving Billy for her birthday, and I absolutely loved it, and I was really annoyed that I didn't get a chance to buy it, but I was very happy that Billy ended up with it. And it was a really lovely red, magenta, coppery piece. So I'm going to try and recreate that. Do it a little bit different to how Lisa did it, although I do think I need to make up some titanium white paint because that was part of her recipe, and it worked really, really well. So some of that in a second. Let me just find an empty container. Yes. All right, so let's go over some colours. This one. Colours, colours, colours. I have this little piggy Grenache, Matisse Cadmium Red, this little piggy Cinnamon, this little piggy Honeycomb, this little piggy Rosè, Sangria, Sequins, and Zeus, all from this little piggy. Then in my paints over here, I've got Matisse, Quinacridone, Magenta, and Australian Red Violet mixed together, about 50-50, so it's a really nice deep magenta-y colour. Then for one of the second colour schemes I'm going to do, I'm going to fuse one of Lisa's and Shelley's latest piece, which look absolutely amazing. So I'm going to use the Amsterdam Titanium White in my pouring medium. This is Matisse Southern Ocean Blue, Matisse Indigo, Liquitex Brilliant Blue, Pebeo Blue Black. I'm actually going to swap these over so that I know which colour scheme they're for. Pebeo Blue Black. Then on this tray over here, I have this little piggy Waterfall, Nightfall, Matisse Dioxazine Purple mixed with a little bit of TLP Velvet to give it a little bit of a blue shimmer, and some Fluoro Pink. I believe this is the Liquitex Opera Fluoro Pink Gouache. The texture is a little bit weird, so we'll see if we're going to use that, but if I do, that's going to be the last layer on top. Okay, so very quickly we'll mix up some titanium white, and then we'll get the show on the road. Alright. Any questions so far? Any warnings that need to be put on me before I start? Lisa said make sure I do the titanium white first. I will indeed. Now the pouring medium I'm using is just the water-based enamel. Okay, I don't have the low sheen or walls and doors, whatever it is that Shelley mixes 50-50. I'm just using the water-based enamel, so we'll see how these turn out. Now, where did I get the tables? The tables were recycled from the cafe. So these were covered in yucky, disgusting lacquer. It was quite thick. I needed 40 grit sandpaper to get everything off. And they're recycled. So if you find a piece of wood or a table or something that you like the look of, but you know, it's the perfect size or whatever, and want to refurbish, you can definitely sand it back and go for gold. As long as there's no rotten wood, you can do whatever you like with it, really. Hey everybody that's joined us. Sorry I haven't said hello. I'm losing track of how many people there are in here. So that's nice and thick. And I will adjust all of my paints as I'm working. Okay. Now Lisa asked how big the tables are. So again, got them from the cafe. How big are they? This one is 60 centimeters by 70 centimeters. Okay, so it's quite large. You can see my entire arm fits across the surface there. The other one that I'm working on, let me measure, 60 by 60. And yeah, I believe, oh, sorry, I lied. This one is 60 by 80. Quite a bit larger. So we're just going to see how we go. Are we ready for the fun part? I definitely am. Okay, so I went out today and I bought lots of black pillow. So, here we go. Alright, so when I'm doing my tables and when I'm doing any large spinning pieces, you want to make sure you have enough pillow that's going to get your entire design to the edge if that's what you want. If you want to keep it nice and contained, still do a large pillow, but make your paint physically smaller in the middle. Put down less color. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I mean. So always start from the center, and you can rotate the piece, and that's going to give you a nice even pillow. Warning: this is a lot of paint, and yes, you do waste quite a lot of paint, but it's all part of getting that bloom to stretch and spread. Okay. So then what I do is go around the edge and focus more paint in the corners, and that's going to mean that my design is going to spread evenly to all surfaces. Now for this size table, I've already used almost a litre of paint, and I'll probably use a little bit more. Hey Sheldon, welcome. Thanks for joining. Alright, so next step with this is we don't want this to dry before we've got a chance to pour our paint. So I do what Lisa does and use my hand to just spread this paint all the way around the edges and sides. We're just coating everything with a nice thin layer to start with. And this is going to help our design spread and glide. So once the edge, top's done, the edges, we're going to do the sides as well. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to make sure that we've got enough pillow to go over everything. And it's very important that you've got extra pillow just in case. Yeah, it does take a lot of paint. It's a litre of house paint and then whatever else we put on top. Now, whatever's left here, I'm just going to use my hand like a trowel almost to spread it nice and even. Okay, and you don't want to do this too much because you can introduce bubbles in the pillow. When I'm working with a black pillow, I don't actually mind that because, especially when you're working with sparkly pigments and paints, that black showing through can add a lot of dimension. Alright, now this is where we have to work quick because this paint is going to start to dry. So, to make things easier on myself, I'm just going to change my glove. Just the one that, you know, the one that was in the paint. So what kind of paint? Sorry, I didn't say that. I'm using the British Paints Exterior Low Sheen, already tinted in black. I don't have the tin inside because I just swapped them into little containers that we get flour in here. Yes, our paint, literally, like, it's already starting to dry on this edge over here because it is very thin. So once I've got my colours down, I am going to take my hand again and just run around that outside before I spin. Now the problem is I should have double gloved. I should have double gloved because my hands get very sweaty when I'm working and it's very hard to put a glove back on. Alright, so Lisa, help me. What was the order of the colours? Crap, okay, hold on. I've got the image screenshotted. Lovely, lovely. All right. I'll use golden peach. I didn't use golden peach. Okay, titanium white first, she says. Okay. So I've just got to thin that down because I just mixed it. Welcome to chaos. All right, thin down the titanium white. White first, white first, white first. Gotcha. All right, white first. Now, this is a massive surface. It's much bigger than what you expect. And I'm doing this is at chest level for me. So, very, very difficult. All right, white first. Then, half cadmium red. Okay, oh crap, I've got cadmium red, just cadmium red. Not cadmium red light, but YOLO. All right, again, thin this down. I didn't realize how many paints I didn't have, how many were starting to dry out in the containers, so I had to mix a whole heap of newbies when I got into the studio this afternoon, hence the chaos. Good first, what? Gold first, Zeus. Zeus. Right. So I'm changing her combination just a little bit. I'm using this little piggy Zeus. Right, and then some Honeycomb, which is the gorgeous, like, egg yolky yellow. Right, and then I'll put a little bit more of this on top of the red because I really like how it looks. Then our cadmium red. And Lisa did hers half and half, so that's what I'm going to do. And the other half was copper. So for the copper, I'm using this little piggy Cinnamon. Alright, how are we doing so far? All following along? Any questions? Alright. Alright, then she used golden peach. I didn't use golden peach. So let's use Grenache. Oh, actually, before Grenache, I want to use the... Like I said, I'm changing up just a little bit because I do want lots of different colours in this. And I want some pinks as well. So I've got the half and half Matisse Australian Red Violet and Quinacridone Magenta. So just putting that on top of everything here. And then I'm going to put that on top as well. So she did do that in her original pour. Then I want this little piggy Sangria because I haven't used this in forever. And I absolutely love this colour with the reds. So I do want quite a bit of that on there. Now, can you see how much paint we're using? There's a lot of paint. Now, this little piggy Grenache. Grenache is one of my favourite colours. All right. And then. Sequins. We're getting there. We're getting there. Sequins is an interference violet colour, and I'm doing this in a triangle. Why? No freaking idea. We're just going with it, right? Having some fun. And the last colour I want to add before we do the magenta over the top is this little piggy Rosé. Really nice light pink. Okay. And then she did magenta over everything. Like, literally covered everything, Lisa. Literally everything. Okay. We're gonna do it. Lots of magenta over everything. Alright. There we go. Now we ready? Now we go to the cell activator part. Now my spinner does have a wonky tilt to it. So we are going to place down more pillow. And you see that my edges have now folded back in. So I'm going to have to hold that open somehow. Oh, I know, wait. I've got a thing. Come here. Oh, okay. I have this. I just need something to hold it to this. Ah! Okay, hold on. Will that work? That's gonna work. Alright. Ingenious. Okay. Cell activator time. Black cell activator. Alright, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. I think, except I just flicked black cell activator all over myself. Alright. Black cell activator, guys. Right. Plenty of it. Because now we're going to bring out the big guns, the hairdryer. So what I like to do with my hairdryer, target the center first and then blow out the rest, okay? Low speed first, target, blow it out. So let's go, on cold. Now, if you can see it, my paints are already starting to dry, so it's making things go really wonky and weird. But let's get the mini blower in to blow out some more of this colour. And cell activator. And let's get right down to that gold in the middle. All right. We good? So I'm just gonna massage the edges a little bit. Like I said, that paint's already starting to form that skin and dry, even though I have the air conditioning on in here. So with the smaller one, it's a lot easier to work faster. And I did have a lot of colors on this. All right, ready, set, and spin. So we're going to do a little one to start with, just to get that paint flowing. And then we're going to do some bigger ones to make sure that everything's nice and spread out. So it's looking really nice. The colours are playing nicely together. Now let me just do this. Get this out of the way. Is it that one or is it the other one? That's the other one that's causing that shadow. Okay, let me get this one out of the way. All right. This color combination is so pretty. So a nice slow spin to start is going to make sure that your paint isn't moving all as one. Now I do need to make sure that I've got enough paint on the corners, which doesn't look like there is. Okay, that's already a litre of paint gone, of pillow paint. Mind you, this pillow paint is riddled with bubbles at the moment because I shook the can right before I used it. And this one here. Okay, but the good thing about doing this is all of my sides and edges will actually be covered in black paint. All right, we ready? Ready, and big spin. That sound is so satisfying when all of that paint goes flying off the edge. So now I'm going to stop. I'm just grabbing the corners and slowly stopping everything. And I'm going to move my center off center, and I'm going to do that this way so that my design stretches towards this side, because there is still a shit ton of paint in that middle. Can you see it all moving? So we want that to move to one side and then spin it. So that's going to move all of that paint weight out of the middle. But it's doing that thing where it's going to make weird cells. And I don't have the ability to sort of move everything off center to spin so that the whole design goes with it. So wonky cells it is. We're just going to have to live with that. So this is part of the tragedy of doing larger pieces. You don't really have a lot of control over where all of that paint goes and your wonky cells. Okay, so Das Angel has said, have you ever tried mixing your fast drying base paint with a few drops of vegetable glycerin to help slow down the drying time? I suggest using 1 drop for every 30 mils. That's actually a really great idea. They also make what they call retarder mediums for paints. I haven't thought to do that because drying time is not usually an issue. The issue is that I'm trying to explain what I'm doing and do everything all at the same time, so it takes a little bit longer. So usually when I'm doing this, to be honest, this one's usually done by now. The other 3 took a lot less time, but when you're explaining and you're going through the process, it does take a little bit longer. So with the next one, I'm just going to do all the colours on there. I'll tell you what the colours are, and then just go for it. So this is pretty much done. I'm just going to try and... I need a device that gets underneath it to stop everything, because I don't want to touch the corners too much and ruin the design, because it will, because the house paint is so thick, it will become lumpy. Alright, I am pretty freaking happy with that. It looks stunning. Lisa, this color combination is killer, and I am glad you did it to start with, and I am glad that I chose to recreate it. These won't be going in my cafe, Karen. These my cafe tables are all done now. So these will actually be going up for sale. So if this is something you're interested in buying, yeah, you can buy it, I guess. So I'm just moving that central paint weight out of the middle again, and I'm going the opposite direction to where it was before, and we're going to give this another big spin. Alright, so I can still hear just a few pitter-patters of paint hitting the sides. So that still means that there's a little bit of paint left on there. Alright, now how did I stop this last time? I used something to stop it. I just wedged it up underneath the table. Yeah, it only took me 2 years, Lisa. Alright, I'm going to get my hand underneath, and just when the long edges come around, I'm just sticking my fingertips up underneath it and slowing it down from underneath. Alright, this looks absolutely fantastic. Now what I really like when I do this, when I do the bigger pieces, is overblowing the pillow over the top of the paint. And I believe Sheldon Briscoe, he's in the chat, so Sheldon's done some experiment pieces with this technique where he blows the pillow over the top and you get some really nice, interesting shaped cells that come through the pillow. So what I'm talking about is over on this side, over on, I think it's your left, wherever my arm is at the moment, there are some really nice cells coming up, and I absolutely love those. So this piece is done. I did manage to get my finger in the design on this side, so it may not reach all the way. So we're going to put this one aside, and then I'm going to bring the second one over, and we're going to pour that one. All right, now this is the fun part. Moving it out, dropping it. Lots of noises. Oh, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Okay, loving it, loving it, loving it. So I'm just running my fingers underneath to catch any of those drips. I'm just going to wipe it on my piece of plastic over here. So on my drying table, I've laid down a piece of plastic. So when I do paint and resin, I can just peel up all of that excess stuff, and you don't have to worry about wiping it. So spreading it into a nice thin layer so it dries evenly means that you're going to be able to peel it up later. Alright, time for piece number 2. How are we all doing, guys? Do you have any questions? Are you all enjoying the chaos that is my art studio on a daily basis? Alright. So, we're going to go straight in with our pillow paint on this one. So let's just get all this excess off my hands. Isn't this satisfying? Look at that. Okay, they're pretty much clean. So let's go. Now we're going to work a little bit quicker, and we're going to do the blue and purple combination. So let's go. Pillow, lots of it. And I'm going to spread this one out just a little bit, just a bit of a spin. And then work my way out so that the edges get covered. Alright, and then more paint in the corners, because as you saw in the last one, the paint didn't reach all the way to the edges. Just some blobs. Right. Again, spread this around. We're going to coat the sides, get it in the middle, and we're going to work quicker with this one. Right, and edges. And there's this weird thing that happens if you've got your thing on a spinner, is if you push your hand one way, the spinner will go the opposite way. So, yeah, I like doing that. It's amusing for me. I'm a big child at heart, really. Alright, get this spread out, make sure we've still got paint in our corners. Alright, this one, I'm calling it, may need a little bit more paint in there. Okay, paper towel. Oh no, I put my holder up against the thing. So if you're using, you know, a puppy pool and you've got your puppy mats in there, I just throw everything into the puppy mat waste section and then I fold everything up and chuck it all in the bin. Alright, so first colour down is, Lisa, this is the Pebeo Blue Black one. So first colour I'm going to put down is Pebeo Blue Black. Now this colour is incredible and it looks nothing like what it does wet when it does dry. When it's dry, the colour is much more vibrant blue than what it is wet. And it just looks phenomenal. Like, it almost looks like an interference violet colour, like a blue, but with like a purple tinge. So we're going to put lots of this on our base. Then, I'm going to put down some titanium white. Then I'm going to put Southern Ocean blue. So I'm sort of modifying Lisa's pour here. This isn't the original one that she did, but I want lots of blues in this. Then I have Liquitex Brilliant Blue. Then Matisse Indigo. So I believe Lisa used cobalt teal in one of her pours the other day. Oh, sorry. Shelley did a pour today and used cobalt teal in it. And cobalt teal is such a pretty colour, and it's very similar to the Liquitex Brilliant Blue, but it's a lot brighter. Then I'm going to do Matisse Dioxazine Purple mixed with a little bit of TLP Velvet. The Velvet gives it a really nice blue interference colour. Then I have this little piggy Nightfall. So that's a really nice glittery purple. Then we have this little piggy Waterfall. Waterfall is quickly becoming one of my favourite blues. It's very pretty. Then on top, let's go with Sequins. Sorry, Lisa, I'm totally changing your colour combination. I've added so many colours to this. Hers only had 3 or 4. Then I'm going to do just a little bit of Rosé. Just a tiny bit. A little bit of Sangria. And then fluoro pink, the gouache. Like, there was one more colour I've got to add. So this fluoro pink should hopefully make some really pretty cells under the cell activator. Oh, Lisa, you did white cell activator, didn't you? On this one. Ooh, I don't know if I want to do white. I don't know if I like white on black. You know what? Let's do both. Mexican Girl. If you don't know what that ad is, Australians, you'll know what the Mexican Girl ad is, where she says, ¿Por qué no las dos? So whenever Trent, my partner, says, oh, why don't we have both, we just say Mexican Girl. I freaking hope so, Lisa. I hope it's going to be pretty. Okay. White CA. Oh, it's floating on top of the pink. That's really weird. Okay. White CA. Oh, black. Come on, black. Get out of the tray. Alright, and black. Alright. Ready. Okay, low speed, then high. Okay, get the blower, the mini blower. Okay, so with the mini blower, what I'm doing is I'm holding my thumb over the intake, aiming, and then letting go of my thumb slowly to create those patterns. Alright, this is really pretty already. So again, just going around the edge to make sure I don't have a harsh line. And the edges are already dry completely, like the sides. Now, one thing when you're using reclaimed wood is just make sure that you fill all the knots that may be in the sides and edges, because they will take paint. All right, are we ready for a spin? This one's really, really pretty, by the way. All right, let's see how paint is moving. So I do 1, relatively small spin. See where the paint is flowing, and then move the weight, and this way you're not going to get as many warping cells. It's also going to give a chance for that center portion to move and level out. So a nice slow spin. This color combination, blue, pink and purple, you cannot go wrong. Everybody loves it. Hello everybody that's just joined. Hello everyone that joined late. If you missed it, you can always go back and watch the first part. We taped up the bottom of these tables. We've already done a really beautiful red and gold style piece. Today seems like a red and gold kind of day. Garrick Brown Art Studios did an amazing piece this morning with red and gold, and he did a, what do you call it, a ring pour, open cup ring pour, whatever it is. Absolutely phenomenal. So let's move this a little off center. So if you can see, the center is moving all as one big mass. You want to make sure that, you know, everything moves all together. This table is a 60 by 60 centimeter table, so quite large. Now we go for the big spin, and let's get all of this paint off. So no matter what size canvas, wood panel, anything that you're doing, you want to make sure that you spin enough paint off so it doesn't crack. Particularly with tables, I find that it's more common with tables than it is with canvas or wood panels. So yeah, make sure that you always spin off enough. Alright, it's very mesmerizing to watch. I often get motion sick when I'm watching people spinning pieces on their YouTube videos, so I apologize if that's happening for you, because it's happening for me in real life. Alright, now this one being a square piece means I can get my hand underneath to slow it down nicely, but look at all of that beautiful colour. It's just so, so pretty. Now, do I have, what was the first colour I put down? The Pebeo Blue Black. So you won't be able to see the blue black until it's actually dry, and then you'll really notice it. So let's see where our paint is sitting. Right, so it's right there, so I'm just going to bring it over to this way. Stretch out those central cells. I've got some really awesome smaller cells in the middle, which you very rarely get, but because we've done the double cell activator, we've got some of those in the middle. Let's go a nice big spin just to get that weight moving. Let's have a look. This is really, really pretty. Now, I'm not a fan. Let me wipe my hands. Napkins. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no. You're all gonna laugh. You're gonna really, really have a hoot at this one. This is why I hate working with black paint, but I also quite love it. It gets everywhere. It gets all over your skin, and for some reason, the pre-made black paint, the Taubman's one, or the the British paints, it just dries so freaking quick, like it's already dried on my arm. So, yeah, you need to, you know, wet wipe. I use Dettol wipes. They're amazing, or the Dettol wipes. They are amazing for getting paint off your skin. See? Yeah, look, this one too. You all say Lisa's the only messy one. Alright, so I don't like this particular little bit in the middle, so I'm going to grab my skewer and I'm just going to take it from here and just swirl it a little bit, not too much. I don't want a full modification. I just want to make some of these patterns a little bit less harsh. So I didn't do that with the other piece because I thought that one didn't need it. but I'm not averse to modifying bits and pieces if I need to. So this piece right here. Now there are a lot of people that go over the top with their modifications, which is perfectly fine. They create amazing art that way. I like to keep mine a little bit more subtle to make it look like that's how they were formed and they're part of the piece. A little bit more natural, I would say. Okay, let's give it one little spin. And spinning after modifying just makes everything fuse together a little bit better and make it look like it was actually meant to be there. All right, and I think this one is also done. So let's take it over to the drying rack and you know, get it ready. So I can see the beautiful sequins across the top. I can see the Pebeo blue black, especially over here. It's made a really thin layer, a really nice sheen. But this area just over here, the colors have overlapped and it's formed this amazing gradient, almost like what you would see in an aurora borealis. I can see the fluoro pink, I can see the sangria, the blues of course on the bottom. So really happy with this. So we're going to put this over to dry and then I'll answer a few questions. Now, when doing this, sometimes your artwork will fuse to the table or to the spinner, which is a bit difficult, especially if it's a heavy piece like this, and it can sometimes be the masking tape getting stuck underneath. So just wiggle your way around. Oops, got more paint on the corner on my arm there. There we go. Okay, and we're off. All right, those are done. So I'm going to clean up my spinner. So once I've done with my spinner, I always take some paper towel and just wipe off the excess paint. This is going to make sure that it doesn't dry lumpy underneath. You can even use one of the ones that you've wiped your hands on or anything that you've just chucked aside here. It's going to make sure that it doesn't dry lumpy underneath and that it doesn't dry lumpy on top, and it's just going to extend the life of your spinner and keep it comfortable to use, because once you start to get drips underneath that are hardened, stopping it from underneath becomes really, really difficult. Okay, so just wiping all that extra paint off, and it doesn't hurt to just wipe it into the middle and make it form a nice thin layer rather than having lumps and bumps dry. Alrighty, now clean up time. So once I'm done painting, obviously you've got to cap everything and put all the lids back on your paints and get everything clean. So does anyone have any tips while you're all here for cleaning up after you paint? Karen, that's an excellent tip, covering your spinner with clear contact paper and then cleaning it after each session. If you've seen my little spinner that's underneath this, it's got a silicone mat, and the silicone mat's really easy to clean up and peel. If I wanted to wipe it after every session, I can wipe it. If not, I just let everything dry and scrape it all off once it's dry. So that's something you can do. Now, what I've been doing lately, when it's time to clean everything up, I've just been keeping a cup handy, scrape off all of my stir sticks, and as I'm going along, I'm always replacing the lids. Making sure that everything doesn't dry up, and trying not to contaminate colours as I'm cleaning up. And then what I'll do, once I've done putting all these away and putting the lids on, I'll take all of these out of the water, give them a wipe down with a wet wipe and a bit of paper towel, and then that can all go in the bin. That way you're not putting any paint down the drain, which is a big concern, especially if you're on septic system like I am, out on a property or anything like that. So avoiding putting any paint, like dried paint down your drain is crucial. Okay. Very quick, very easy. And I'm happy that I used all the colours I said I was going to use today. Most of the time I mix up colours and then forget that they're sitting there, and I don't end up using them. So, Dollar Tree shower caps. Yes, a lot of people use those shower caps, Nadine. Those are really helpful. I know Karen from Waterfall Acrylics uses those, and she loves them. So that's also a really good tip. And as you can see, my containers do get very dirty. Every now and then I'll give them a clean, just soak them in a bucket. Boring. What's boring, Lisa? You're boring. And if anyone wants to see the original artwork that inspired the red table, the first table that we did, head to Lisa's Instagram page. It's from 2020. I think it was June of 2020. And it's a gorgeous red piece that's off to one corner, and there's two posts right after each other with it. And it's my favorite piece Lisa's ever done, by far, hands down, no questions asked. So yeah, give that a look if you're interested in seeing what I was trying to recreate. Now, I didn't exactly recreate that piece because Lisa used a lot less cell activator, so her colours were a lot more, how can I say, flowy, and less cells, but I'm still very happy. Now, what I am going to do is a cardinal sin of blooms, and I'm going to actually torch the bubbles because there are quite a few. And I'm just going very quickly over the surface. And just torched all those little tiny bubbles out, just because I don't like having them there. And now it's just time to clean everything up. So does anyone have any questions, tips, tricks that they want to share with everyone before I end the live stream? So, Das Angel says, I have, is it DA's Angel? DA's Angel. Huh. I have spray bottles with mild soapy water for quick cleanup for all surfaces and tools. I have a bucket of water for soaking things in and dump the wastewater into the cat litter, then toss in the trash. Another great option, if you don't have a lot of dried paint on your tools and equipment, you can tip it into the garden. The wet paint isn't going to do anything to hurt your plants or anything like that. So yeah, once these are, sat in the water for a minute or two, you just wipe it up. Yeah, speaking of, we want to do a second colour theory class. What would you like to see us address in that class? So we want to go over making tertiary colours and making your own colours with basic paints, and showing you how to, go warmer and cooler, and, just what you can do with basic colours. A lot of people think you need to own every coloured paint under the sun to be able to make great art, and you really don't. Spend an hour scrolling, Lisa. What's that in reference to? All the ideas that people are going to have. We like ideas. Without people's ideas, we don't get anywhere. And suggestions. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap the live up here. I'll just continue wiping down my little stir sticks. Starting to get very hot in here. I don't think the air conditioner's coping very well with the heat. So I'm going to wrap everything up, and we'll let these tables dry and cure. So I am going to leave these for at least a week, possibly two. So it all depends on how hot it's going to be here. It has been quite warm recently over 30 degrees. So if it's going to stay like that and the studio is going to be really nice and hot, I'll give those about a week to 10 days to cure. And then we'll come back for episode 3 where I'll apply resin and finish everything off. In the meantime, I'm going to look for some table legs to finish these off and make them complete. And yeah, it'll be the full start to finish process, you know, prep to resin. So good night everyone, thank you for joining me. And I will let you all know when the next one's going to happen. And Lisa, I promise you won't have to herd people like cattle to the live, because I'll try and make sure that I do everything from the PC. So when I'll show the resin process in about a week to 2 weeks, okay? All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next video, and take it easy, everyone. In the meantime, put some comments down below of what you want to see in our Colour Theory Live with Lisa. All right, bye.